Can I just say how upset I am today?
Very upset.
Today, it was revealed by the porn actress, the adult actress, I should say,
Yes.
Stormy Daniels.
Hurricane Daniels.
Ooh, you suck!
That Donald Trump's penis looks like a Mario Kart character,
Yeah.
and that character is Toad.
Step on it, we're late.
Did you see that guy's balls?
Yeah, they were weird looking.
Yeah.
Now, I'm so incensed by this.
That's terrible.
To refer to Toad as just a Mario Kart
know.
character, it's so disrespectful to Toad.
It's extremely-
He has an entire series of games. He has contributed so much to this world.
Yep.
It's like there's no standards anymore. It's
The
like
only-
there's no decency anymore. If
Yeah.
you can refer to Toad like that, we've lost it. Our
The only-
civilization's finished.
The only good thing is, the Toad in Mario tends to make things bigger. It does
He does do that.
tend to make
That's
things bigger.
very
So that's
true.
probably where she was going with that, of course. We've got some discussions to have today, people. We're usually telling about the news, but we've seen some stuff actually that's recently come out about Spider-Man. Everyone's talking about Spider-Man, and
Not the downgrade.
not the downgrade, of course.
That's
the
a
Puddlegate,
that's a meme.
a complete meme now,
Fucking
okay?
meme. Alex Jones meme.
It is. But I think the big things that have come out is Sony's actually been an integral part of making Spider-Man a thing, right? And I think the big question is, should it have been a big part? Did we need Sony to be a big part of it? Let's discuss.
Should Spider-Man have been an exclusive? Question mark, exclamation mark.
Every Xbox person that's watching this is like, no.
So here's the deal. The creative director of Spider-Man recently did an interview, and when he did, he basically said that there's no way this game could have been made without the support of Sony.
Yeah.
He said something along the lines of, anytime I needed to do anything in the game, Sony had my back. They would just say yes. They would ask me, is it going to make a better game?
Yeah.
And then if I said yes, they would say, go and do it. And he really sort of made very clear that Insomniac had complete creative control over the project the entire time, as opposed to them breathing down their neck and having all these really tight budgets and all this sort of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
It's very similar to what Cory Barlog said about God of War, which is like, you know what, we delayed the game, we made changes along the way, but what else? Sony never pushed back. They never said, hey, listen, no, we have to make this happen. We have to push this out before it's early. We want this feature. We want this bullshit, whatever else. We just got to make the game we wanted to make, and that's why we got to the quality we got to.
Even when one of the bigwigs apparently sat down and played God of War in its just terrible state, right? They still just were like, you guys know what you're doing. You know?
trust you.
Apparently this whole thing came out, they played the game, it was in complete shambles because the coding was still everywhere. But again, PlayStation was like, look, you got this. Like, whatever, this isn't ready, of course, but you got this. And I think that's a good thing because, I mean, in this day and age, games are so expensive to make, and the bigger the budget is, the less risks I think a lot of IP can take, So
definitely.
I think when, a game like Spider-Man comes along, of course it's a sure thing in terms of people will line up for it because it's extremely strong IP. But it's another thing to have enough cash in the bank and enough IP kind of spread around your own brand to give a lot of people that creative license,
Yeah, backing them to the hilt like that's a really big deal, and it's the proof's in the pudding because Spider-Man is now the fastest selling game of the year, at least in the United Kingdom. It's very likely that it's going to have similar sorts of performances elsewhere. We don't have Call of Duty out yet. Now, Call of Duty is typically the fastest selling game of the year when it releases because people like
Because it's just Call of Duty, everybody. But I mean, look, we might see a bit of a difference there because there are huge amounts of changes in there. But I mean, even on Metacritic, I think Spider-Man's sitting at like 87 or something.
Very, very strong.
Very
review.
strong.
The whole package just landed beautifully. And I think that Sony being so supportive is objectively fantastic.
Yeah.
But the question that I think a lot of people have very rightly asked is like, should a Spider-Man game ever have been an exclusive? Okay? A lot of people like hate the idea of exclusives in general. And they're like, no, every game should be available on every platform.
Which is understandable.
I don't agree with that. I think it's the wrong way to look at it.
It's one thing to agree or disagree. It's one thing to understand why certain people would feel that way.
Totally. But like people say, like God of War, for example, it sucks that it's Sony exclusive. Well, no. Sony invented that IP. They put the money behind it. They grew it from nothing.
it.
They own that. That's theirs.
Yeah.
And good IP on those systems that sells systems becomes something that drives competition in the industry. Like you get better consoles, and the console wars help the consumer, believe it or not.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because it means that Sony has to fight for every inch that it gets. It means that Microsoft, who realize they're behind in the battle right now, start buying up studios.
5 or 6 studios in like 1 year or something. Like, not even 1 year, like in a span of a month, they'll just release them all at E3.
Yeah, so they're buying up this stuff, getting ready for the future. And if they were, if there wasn't that level of competition, if there wasn't that urgency, you wouldn't see that sort of stuff happening. You wouldn't see that quality coming through with regards to their ambitions and what they're working towards, right? So I know it kind of sucks you can't play God of War on Xbox, but at the end of the day, it's going to make Xbox do better and strive for more when they're up against it. Same with like Halo back in the day, and the way Halo and Xbox crushed PlayStation.
It was the 360.
That era dominated.
Completely.
And then as a result, the PlayStation 4 is a direct result of all of PlayStation's failings with the PlayStation 3, where they became arrogant and their stupid $5.99 price point on launch and all this garbage, you know?
Yeah.
So that stuff's critical, but Spider-Man is not an IP developed by Sony. It's a global
This is the
IP.
thing. I hear you, and I agree with you. So it's a bit of a grey area, because if PlayStation, for instance, is going to back Insomniac, give them full creative license, give them the money they need, and completely give them the platform that they need to completely try and give us, I think, the best superhero experience I think anyone has ever experienced.
Oh, Batman fans now are like...
They're like, I don't know.
They're gonna be very angry.
Then I do believe that PlayStation deserves to see the financial benefits of that.
Agree, but my point is, should Marvel have said, yes, you know what, Sony, we're going to sell you this IP and you're going to make it an exclusive, just the same way that Star Wars has sold their IP exclusively to EA and it's fucking killed it. Now it's
I think they're two.
Just,
Yeah,
I
agree
two
with
totally
you.
different examples for different reasons. But
good
my point.
But good. Yeah, but I was saying, two good examples there. One, they've completely destroyed the video game IP of Star Wars in this current state, and then the other one has really built up Spider-Man again.
But
I agree with you.
But Xbox players don't get to enjoy that.
I agree with you.
And on balance, I would much rather Marvel have made a different decision. I would much rather they had said, we're going to make sure this is available to everyone, and we're going to put some money somewhere, and we're going to make it happen, and we're going to find the right publisher that's going to get it out on all platforms. Yep. And still had that Sony approach of like, hey, we're gonna, till it's done, we're not gonna breathe down your neck, we're gonna let you make the product you want to make.
Sure.
But make sure it gets out to everyone, because
But maybe it takes
unfair.
a console. Maybe it takes, PlayStation or Xbox, for instance, where they have a plethora of IP. They got so much cash in the bank. They can give you full creative license for us to really receive a game like Spider-Man, where it's by far one of the best games this year. If we had another type of publisher, a bit smaller, a bit more risk averse,
like
really,
Square Enix could have taken it, for
potentially,
example.
right?
Yeah.
Potentially, but that doesn't mean that we would have got the full Spider-Man experience, because they might have wanted to take the reins a bit more. They wanted to make sure that it was going to be what they thought the consumer wanted, instead of letting Insomniac kind of decide what the consumer wanted.
Look, it's all hypotheticals at this point, but I do feel very sympathetic, because I get a lot of these tweets saying like, I'm really angry at Marvel for this. They're like, I'm angry at Sony for this. It's kind of like, well, it's not Sony's fault, man. They're just running a business, and they're like, they saw an opportunity, they took it. It really is on Marvel to spread this IP around and make sure it doesn't stay with one console. And my hope is that in the future, when it comes to this sort of stuff, they don't do that. There's rumors that an Avengers game is in development at the moment as well. I'll be super pissed off, super sad if this does not get on all platforms. Because, like, imagine the Avengers IP, like all of the Marvel universe, only being available on PlayStation. That would suck.
I think Xbox was to start shutting up shop. Like, you know what? We don't get any fucking IP anymore. We got Halo Infinite. It's coming out in like 2025 or some shit.
They'll just Thanos themselves.
Like, just be gone. There's no point of being here. But like, I hear you. Like, I think it's a bit of a nuanced discussion here, because when it comes to, if you've built that IP from the ground up, if you've backed that IP, if there's been, sometimes years behind that IP to grow it to a certain spot, like God of War, or Halo, for instance, then of course that console owns that, and they deserve to see the full financial realization of what that can be.
I just wish Xbox owners weren't getting dicked.
I agree with
we're
that.
not even talking about Switch here, because Spider-Man couldn't run on the Switch. I would love it if they scaled it down, and it would be a massively scaled down version.
If they can get Doom actually to fucking work on Switch, they can make Spider-Man work on Switch, okay?
Yeah, maybe.
Your alpha is wrong on there,
so there's a lot of draw distances in that. You don't have those draw distances.
No.
Anyway, we digress. That's the end of the video.
Oh, that's the end of the video. Well, I was going to say more, you know what? But
no,
fuck that. I don't want to
down.
say any more. No,
That's
but in conclusion, in summation...